Hello everyone, it's me here. Now I am going to be doing a VHS explanation video that I just feel like doing for you guys, everyone out there for tonight. So why not for me to go ahead and do this VHS explanation video that I have decided to go ahead and do this video right now because I was kind of getting myself kind of bored a bit. So why not for me to go ahead and do this VHS explanation video on it just for the heck of it and just for fun. So yeah. And I just pretty much felt like talking about this one VHS tape that I am going to be explaining about and talking about in this video right here. So yeah, and by the way, before we start this VHS explanation video, this is going to be uploaded on my main YouTube channel and on my Facebook page as well too. So yeah. Yeah, anyways, excuse me. Sorry about the burping there. For this VHS explanation video, I am going to be doing a VHS explanation video on my 1995 Canadian VHS of Disney sing-along songs Colors of the Wind. Yeah, it is going to be consisting of my 1995 Canadian VHS of Disney sing-along songs Colors of the Wind, in which I'm going to be talking about that Canadian tape for my copy of it, that is. So, of the 1995 Canadian VHS of that Disney sing-along songs Pocahontas program, that is. So, yeah. So, why not for me to go ahead and make this VHS explanation video, because I have so much to talk about that Canadian VHS of that Disney sing-along songs Pocahontas program, that is. So, yeah. Anyways, let's just go ahead and let's dive into the video and let's go ahead and start this VHS explanation video. So, here we go now, guys. Let's get started. And also, I figured I'd go ahead and make this VHS explanation video before I do the normal and long opening and closing to that tape on my laptop using OBS Studio at some point, though. So, I figured I'd just go ahead and do this VHS explanation video first, because I have a lot that I needed to say about that tape here. So, yeah. So, why not just talk about that Canadian tape of that? So, anyways, without further ado, let's just go ahead and let's get this VHS explanation video started. So, yeah. Anyways, let's get started, guys. So, this VHS explanation video is going to be consisting of my 1995 Canadian VHS of Disney sing-along songs Colors of the Wind. Is because there are a couple reasons why I decided to mention about my copy of the 1995 Canadian VHS of that tape. So, of that Disney sing-along songs program from Pocahontas, that is. So, yeah. Anyways, now y'all gonna find out the reasons why that I am gonna do this VHS explanation video on that tape. On that Canadian tape of, Disney sing-along songs Colors of the Wind, the 1995 Canadian VHS of it. So, yeah. And there's also going to be a little bit of some bad news about that tape as well, too. Now, I originally did the bad news video back on July 3rd, 2022 on my Brendan's Movie Collector, my main Brendan's Movie Collector channel back then, which that video is still up, but for this, which I've shown the problem with it, so like, and explaining and talking about the bad news about that tape. Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and talk about it again in this video, because I'm just basically just doing a VHS explanation video. Well, I've already done a bad news video on that tape back on the day I got it from eBay, which is back in July 3rd, 2022, which is like 2 years ago. When I originally ordered that tape from eBay back then, which I remember when I just got that, which I bought that tape from eBay back then. So, as I remember, back in the summer of 2022, that is, which I got it back on in the mail from eBay back on July 3rd, 2022, that is. So, yeah. And as of today, I still have the tape in my collection so far, and I am definitely still going to keep that tape for collection purposes, and it's a rare Canadian copy of it as well, too. So, yeah, but I'm going to be explaining about that tape, about my copy of the 1995 Canadian VHS of that tape. For Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind, that is. So, yeah. Anyways, let's just go ahead and let's dive into this VHS explanation video, and let's go ahead and start this video. Enough wasting time. Starting the intro of this video, that is, by keeping on mentioning the intro of this VHS explanation video. So let's just go ahead and let's get into this video here. So yeah, enough of the intro there. So that's pretty much about it for the intro there. So yeah, of this video. Here, and guys, why am I gonna do the VHS explanation video on my 1995 Canadian VHS of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind is because there is a problem with my copy of that tape, unfortunately, you guys, because the reason why that is because the sound is completely messed up on that tape throughout the whole thing. I'm not even joking about this, guys. That was the way that tape came that way. For my copy of it, came that way, to be exact. Is the reason why that is the sound is completely messed up on that tape is because the tape sounds like it's really messed up completely, and the sound on that tape is completely robotic. It sounded muffled, and it sounds like completely static to me. That's what I would think about. That's what I think about the sound problem with that tape. And like I said, that was the way it came when I got this from eBay back on July 3rd, 2022, which I got that tape in the mail from eBay back then, which I remember I got this in the mail from eBay back on July 3rd of 2022, which is like 2 years ago. And by the way, that tape was the very first Disney Sing-Along Songs Canadian VHS tape that I ever got for my collection so far here. And I also have 3 other Disney Sing-Along Songs Canadian VHS tapes, which the other 3 are fine. The other 3 Disney Sing-Along Songs VHS tapes that I still have, and I do have in my collection as well. The other 3 are fine. The tapes itself are fine. Like, there's no problems there's no problems or issues with the other 3 at all whatsoever. But except for Colors of the Wind, though, because my copy of the 1995 Canadian VHS of Colors of the Wind, the sound is really messed up on that tape, because the sound is really completely muffled on it. And, like, what I mean about muffled, the sound is muffled, is because there's a little bit of static and the normal sound in between to each other. That's what I would probably explain, and that's what I would probably say. I would guess that. That's what I would say. Like, there's some static, a little bit of some static going on during the audio of that tape, and the sound, it's kind of like the sound is kind of like it's robotic. It sounds like a robot or something like that, but it's really messed up and everything. The sound is completely messed up on that tape, and because the sound is really completely muffled on it, and it sounds like sounds like static and muffled in between. So that's why there is a problem with the sound on my 1995 Canadian VHS of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind, that is, from my copy of it, to be exact. Which, I remember I was showing the problem with it on my main Brendan's Movie Collector YouTube channel back on the day I got it back then, which is July 3rd, 2022, that is. For the bad news video I've done on that tape back then, which is still up on my main Brendan's Movie Collector channel on my main YouTube channel, which I'm currently using so far here. And I just been using that channel so far here. So, yeah. If y'all like to go see the bad news video from July 3rd, 2022, where I've shown the problem with that tape, go check it out. It's still up on my main YouTube channel, and it's still up as of today, which I know for sure that is. Which I know that bad news video is still up on my channel, that is. So, yeah. So, I'm guessing why the sound is sounded like muffled is because, well, I basically don't know how that happened. Like I said, that was the way it came that way when I got that tape in the mail from eBay back on July 3rd, 2022, that is. Which I got it back then from eBay in the mail back then. So, yeah. I'm so kind of speechless about how the sound got messed up on that tape. I'm so kind of speechless about that. I just don't know what to say about that tape, you guys, on how the sound how the sound went wrong on that tape. Excuse me. Sorry, getting myself a little mixed up and tongue twisted here, so I do apologize for that inconvenience, though. But I'm doing my best here to I'm trying the best on what I'm trying to say here on speaking correctly really well on this VHS during this VHS explanation video, that is. So yeah. Anyways, yeah, that tape sound is really messed up throughout the whole thing, throughout the whole entire tape of it. Because I have tested the whole tape of it, and it sounded like that throughout the whole tape. Like it sounds like a robot throughout the whole entire thing. But I'm still going to keep the tape anyway because it's a rare copy and it's really hard to find because, as y'all know, it was a Canadian copy, which it was made in Canada. Which I know for sure because it has a cartridge number on it and it has the 1991 green Canadian warning screens at the beginning. And it has the same previews as the American release, but... And there's like excuse me, sorry. And also, there is one other major difference at the end of it. Before the previews start during the closing at the end, right after the program's over. There is a rare voiceover with the announcer playing over the end credits too. That's another difference. Why there's a difference during the end credits of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind, which is the Canadian release of it. Which I know for sure because I checked the whole tape out myself before here. So yeah, so there's like a few differences with the Canadian copy of that tape. Which basically it has the same previews as the American release. It has the same opening and closing, but except there are basically two main differences. One, there's the 1991 green Canadian warning screens at the beginning of it, before the previews started during the opening. And then right before the previews start during the closing, there is a rare voiceover announcer playing over the end credits, which you don't see that on the American release. There's no voiceover at all on the American version of that tape, to be exact, which I know for sure, though. Which is very interesting, and it's very cool to see on there, on the Canadian release of that tape. I'm trying to remember who did the voiceover during the end credits of it, which is you can only see the voiceover of the end credits on Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind 1995 Canadian VHS of it. I think it I can't remember who did the voiceover for the end credits on the Canadian release only, which it was either Brian Cummings or maybe I think it might be Brian Cummings. I think one of the Disney voiceovers in Disney VHS tapes. I think who that was. I don't know to be exact. I think it's Brian Cummings doing the voiceover during the end credits on the Canadian release of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind, as far as I can guess here. So yeah, I'm guessing it was Brian Cummings doing the voiceover right at the start of the end credits on the Canadian copy of the 1995 VHS of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind, though. But on the American release of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind 1995 VHS, you don't hear a voiceover at all. You don't hear Brian Cummings voicing over the end credits at all on the American copy, which, by the way, I also do have the American copy of the 1995 VHS of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind as well, too. I have both the American and Canadian VHS of the 1995 VHS of that Disney Sing-Along Songs Pocahontas program, that is. Which, I'm glad I have the Canadian VHS of it. Well, despite being the sound problem on my copy of the 1995 Canadian VHS of it, which I already mentioned in this video. So, like I said, but I'm still going to keep that tape anyway, the Canadian VHS of it anyway, despite being the sound, something's wrong with the sound, like the sound sounds like a robot, but I'm still going to keep that tape as of today. I'm keeping that tape forever because it was really hard to find on eBay, and it was pretty rare to find too as well, which I'm glad I found it and purchased it from eBay back in the summer of 2022, which I think was the end of June. That's when I purchased it, and didn't come in until July 3rd of 2022 to be exact, that is. So yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, my 1995 Canadian VHS of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind is pretty much damaged because, throughout the whole tape, because of the sound issue with it. It sounds like it's robotic or something, and it's just completely muffled. That's what I would say. And it sounds like static to me and stuff like that. That's what I express. That's what I express about the sound problem with it. So that's what I would say for the problem with that tape, for my copy of it to be exact. That is. So yeah. Now I'll probably make a part 2 of this VHS explanation video, but I'm not exactly sure of, like, I'll show you what the problem, like what's wrong with the sound on that tape in part 2 of this VHS explanation video, but I'm not sure though. But even though I did a bad news video back on the day I got it, which was July 3rd, 2022 on my main Brendan's Movie Collector channel already back then, which I did show you the problem with the sound on that tape, but I may just redo it again, which I'm now using my brand new Mitsubishi HSU446 VCR, which I got it from eBay for my birthday, which it came in back on Thursday, to be exact, and stuff like that as well. Which, I just got that VCR recently, so I may just go ahead and show you the problem with the sound on that tape in another video, which I'll do a part 2 of it, probably, of this VHS explanation video. So, yeah, but anyways, But like I said, I'm still going to keep the tape, though, because the Canadian VHS of that tape, because I'm keeping it just for the heck of it. Just for fun. Sorry, I meant, I'm still going to keep the Canadian VHS of it just for fun, because it's a Canadian copy, which I know it's really hard to find. But even though I'm not in Canada, I don't live in Canada. For me, that is. I only live in the U.S., where I'm at. Where I live, in the country where I live in and stuff like that. But, so that's why Canadian VHS tapes for me are really hard to find everywhere, except for like eBay or something like that. Sometimes that is. So yeah, but that's a reason. That's one of the reasons why I'm gonna keep that the Canadian VHS of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind, despite being the sound problem with it. I have to keep that tape, and I just decided to keep it anyway. Despite the sound is really messed up on that tape. It sounds like muffled, and it sounded muffled. It sounds like static and all that, but I'm still gonna keep the tape anyway. But even though I still have the tape with me as of today, but I'm still gonna keep it forever, pretty much. I'm keeping it for my collection though, because this is a rare and hard to find Canadian Disney Sing-Along Songs VHS tape that you can't find anywhere, pretty much. But lucky back at the end of June of 2022, which I can't remember when at the end of June in 2022 when I purchased it from eBay and just found it back then, which I'm glad I ordered it from eBay back then, which I wanted the Canadian VHS of that tape, but I'm glad I got it though. But even though I was so very disappointed about my copy of it, the one I ordered back then, because the sound is really messed up on that tape, but yeah, anyways. But that was the way it came when I got it, so there's nothing I can do about it. So, despite being there's something wrong with the sound on it, despite being the sound has got messed up on it, but like the picture is fine, everything else is fine with the tape, but like it still plays fine. It still plays well, but except the sound is really messed up on it. Like it's completely muffled because of that sound problem of that tape right there. So yeah, that's what I would say. That's what I would guess, and that's what I would think, and that's what I would say about it, and that's all I can say about it, and there's nothing else I can do about that tape here, so, yeah. But I'm still going to go ahead and redo the normal and long opening and closing to this tape as soon as I can, but except I'm going to go ahead and redo it on my laptop using OBS Studio, which is my HDMI video capture card that I plug into my laptop. You'll see in better quality this time when I redo the opening and close into that tape again, and it's going to sound muffled on it. I know it's the tape itself, I know. But nothing I can do about it, and like I said, there's nothing I can do about it, but despite being, I'm keeping that tape, though, because it's a Canadian tape, you guys. I know Canadian VHS tapes are really hard to find in the country where I live in and stuff like that. So, yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much all I can come up with, and that's pretty much all I have to say in this video. For this VHS explanation video on my 1995 Canadian VHS of Disney Sing-Along Songs Colors of the Wind, and I'll probably make a part 2, a second and final part of this video, just in case, though, if I decided to go ahead and show you the bad news about that tape and show you what's wrong with the sound on it and see what it sounded like in another video, which I'll probably make a second and final part of this VHS explanation video, but we'll see from there. But which I'll show it again on YouTube on my main Brendan's Movie Collector channel, and I'll go in and show it on Facebook for the first time ever as well too. For the first time, that is, just to show my audiences and stuff like that, whoever's watching this video and stuff like that, and if I do make a second and final part of this video, that is, as well, so, yeah, So anyways, that's all I can come up with, and that's pretty much what I have to say in this of this VHS explanation video on that Canadian VHS. And hope you all enjoyed this, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later in the next video. Bye for now, and peace out, everybody. See you guys later.